Okay, hi, this is Kiwi Tom. This is the second part of a review that I'm doing. It's the end of June. 6 months of 2018 are coming to an end, and I'm just reviewing what's been happening on the market so that I have future reference for myself on my current state of thinking, and also perhaps a bit of a forecast moving ahead. I'm looking at the Kiwi CAD, and once again, like many of the other Kiwi pairs, the Kiwi dollar has been tanking during the month of June. The one that I'm quite interested in, its current position, is the NJ. It's coming up to quite an important trend line as well as support. It looks very bearish right now. It may leave a wick like this, but with only 1 day left in the month, I'm not too sure what or how this candle will end up. It's possible there will be a bounce, but and I'd like to see a bounce, because there may be some opportunity for a bit more pent-up energy to be put into this pair, and then we might actually see some decent movement. But having said that, if it does break, the next major support is around this location here. So I'll just make a note of that now. The Kiwi dollar, again very bearish, but coming on to some interesting places of support. A bit of a trend line coming through, confluence on a support here. So yeah, another interesting spot, but I'm not seeing anything in the Kiwi dollar to excite me about taking a trade. But I'd like to see us a bounce off here. We've had 3 weeks of the Kiwi dropping, and it'd be nice to maybe have a look at this spot here to perhaps see if there's going to be a position that I can take. Just make a little note of that there. Keep an eye on that spot. Good one. UCAD's in an interesting place. You can see on the weekly we've had 2 rejections of this area here, and I'll be interested to see how this weekly candle completes. I think it's going to go bearish from here. I think the CAD will strengthen. I think the US dollar is starting to soften a little, but some people have been saying that's been happening all week, and it hasn't. Looking at the daily, you can see a little bit clearer how that is broken down. So we've got this trend line here, and it's come back underneath that, broke up from this quite strong resistance, and I think it's coming back to test. It's going to be interesting if it stays above that particular area there, which is now support. So I'll be watching that fairly carefully, but looking at the weekly and back up to the monthly, it's in a very interesting place, isn't it? Okay, but I certainly wouldn't want to trade that for a month. This is the US Swissy. Again, that's the monthly, been in a very tight sort of parallel. Get up to the weekly, and you can see it's touching on this area here. Quite an interesting spot, I guess. We've had that candle show us some exhaustion. It's coming back up perhaps to have another look. It never quite made it to that area, but we may see a drop from here. So I'm interested in that little spot. I need to put a little arrow to show my intention for myself and just see how that plays out. I won't look to trade this, but I'm just interested in watching and learning more about how each chart moves. Okay, UJ. Now UJ is in a very interesting place. You can see how it has come into that resistance. We've got a trend line coming down here right from back in 2015. We've had this move here, and if we have a look down into the lower time frames, we can see how there's been a fair bit of pent-up energy building into this. Now, if it breaks this, I think we're going to see quite a reasonable move. If it can't, then again another reasonable move. I might stick my neck out and say that we're going to see it bearish. Based on some of the fundamentals around the indices, oil looks like it's moving bullish again, and the trade tariff wars. The Chinese have purposely dropped the yuan and made it more, have made it lower. So I don't know enough about this and how they managed to move the market in that direction, but it was a deliberate move, and they seem to be quite happy back at this position over here against the US dollar. I had a trade on the Mexican last week, and it went very well. It dropped out of this channel here. It was a very sharp rising parallel channel, and then once it got through here, it retested and dropped, and I was interested in that trade, and it was a very good trade. Don't know too much about this one. I'm just kind of observing at the moment with the USD ruble. Brent crude, we've had 4 days of it going bullish. It's quite interesting because the OPEC had decided to increase production, but from what I found out, they don't think current production, or the production that they've increased it to, they don't think that there's a capacity to produce that much, which has let increase the oil prices have risen. And you can see here, this is West Texas oil, so the American producers. I've been taking gold this week. I got a position in here. I tried over here somewhere to take a bullish trade, and I got a little bit out of there, but that candle there really interested me. And then when I saw this candle, I was very interested in its movement, but I missed. And I got in at this position here. It's a little bit early, really. I had a couple of days, 1 day of good profits, and then it retraced back up. And then, so I sat that out. I was at a loss for a little while, and now it's going well. I'm confident it's going to come down to around the 1240. So I've still got that trade open. And as you can see, it's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days. Okay. This is copper. Looks quite interesting on the monthly, in my view. It looks very bearish. bearish indeed, and if it breaks past this, I might be quite interested in taking a trade down to this mark here. So once again, I'll put in a mirror here just to show that I'm interested in this. That's copper. We've been through the indices. So yeah, my big trades that I'm looking for are UJ. I think that's very interestingly poised. Let's come right into this, and a break above here past this support would be, this resistance would be useful to watch. And GU is very interesting. Oh, just come down at a rate of knots. We've got an engulfing candle at the moment. If it breaks this, I'm going to be in at least to here. So that might be a reasonable trade. Okay, anyway, that's all for me. I'll leave that on my YouTube channel and refer back to it some other time. See you later.